Here's the list for the Congruent Triangles Lapbook. The topic list here, classifying triangles by sides and angles. So you'll have the angle classifications, acute, right, obtuse, and equiangular, and then the side classifications of scalene, isosceles, and equilateral, and you need to include diagrams of each. You need the angle sum theorem with examples. The angle sum theorem states that all three angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So you could have two examples of either missing angles or solving for x. The right triangle theorem that states that the two acute angles of a right triangle add up to 90 degrees or are complementary, with one example of that. An exterior angle theorem with two examples. The first example needs to have a missing angle that is the exterior angle, and the second example is the missing angle is one of the remote interiors. Remember, the exterior angle theorem is where the two remote interior angles add together to equal the measure of the exterior angle. The isosceles triangle theorem that states that the base angles of an isosceles triangle are congruent. And you also need to include the converse of that says if the base angles of a triangle are congruent, then the triangle is isosceles. So you'll have one example of angles of an isosceles triangle, maybe solving for x or solving for angles, and then another example with solving for side lengths in an isosceles triangle. You're going to have two examples of classifying on the coordinate plane by angles and by sides. Remember, you need to find slopes and distance in order to classify on the coordinate plane. Finding negative reciprocal slopes means that there's a right angle, and then you find the distances to classify by sides, whether it's scalene, which means no sides are equal, isosceles, which means at least two sides, and equilateral, which means all three are congruent. The congruence theorems, your SSS, SAS, ASA, AAS, HALA, HL, and LL. You need to have all 8 and include a diagram of each. And then you need to have two proofs, one flowchart, one 2-column, to prove either parts are congruent for using CP/CTC, or just proving triangles congruent using one of your theorems. You can use examples that we've used in class, or you can come up with your own.